Howdy do. Yeah, this is a different computer, so I wasn't sure how to use the camera on it, so hence the pause. But I haven't done one of these in a while, and so I figured I ought to. I think the last one I did was on the 5th, and today is the 18th, I believe. Anyways, how things are going. I'll do the backstory real quick, just in case, on the very off chance that anybody would be watching this that hasn't listened to me talk about it before. But meth house opened across the street during my summer here. Uh, Cooking it across the street, selling it out of my four bedroom, 4 apartment building. It's just a big house section off into 4 apartments. One of the apartments turned out to end up having people selling drugs that was being cooked across the street for it. So I had walking zombies around here, Night of the Living Dead type shit, with meth heads walking all around all hours of the night. And that can be rather stressful, because you can't beat them, burn them, or kill them. The law don't let you do that. So, you know, what does it say in the original Night of the Living Dead movie? You got to get them in the head, man. Just get them in the head. Well, you can't do that. The law don't like you to do that. So I was limited in what I could do. As far as I went is to confront a couple of people with the machete that was coming here. And they called my bluff, more or less, and knew that I didn't want to go to jail just for the fun of doing anything to them. So, you know, nothing came of that. But then I got the law to threaten them. And that's a different story, because when the law threatens your ass, who polices the police? They can take you somewhere and just say, well, this guy resisted arrest. You know, I'm sorry his jaw got broken in 3 places, but he shouldn't have come at me. Did anybody see? No. They just write it down in the report, however they want it to be. But anyways, yeah, I don't know how this is going to look. This is a different camera, but back to my supposedly quick backstory, which, man, this whole summer's been a living hell. And it's just been utter disaster for me. But anyways, they closed down the meth cookhouse on July 6th. And the leftover people ended up squatting in the apartment building above me, and they're still there. And it is a month and 2 weeks later, and they're still there. So this has been an ongoing thing for like 3 months now. But the guy was actually on the lease to the apartment, he's in jail right now. I believe he was convicted of breaking and entering, and they caught him. I think they either wanted him or they caught him over breaking into a church. I'm not sure which. It doesn't matter. All I care about is he's in jail. And the problem was the building was being paid for by a government program called I Can. I might as well throw this out there. You know, I really don't like looking at myself this morning. Maybe I'll look over here. That would be rude. But there's this government program called I Can that will subsidize housing for people. And, you know, they pay like 70 up to 70 or 80% of whatever the rent is, and then the people got to come up with the rest. So, you know, the landlord was getting guaranteed money even though this guy was in jail. Now, here's the funny part. I might as well just use the names. I guess it doesn't matter. But the people that come here and do my in-home therapy, my therapist that comes here, she works for a company called Coleman. Coleman runs I Can. So, you getting there yet? The people upstairs are being funded by the same people that are doing my mental health. So they're paying to on my mental health upkeep downstairs. Meanwhile, they got paying for people to live upstairs that are ruining my mental health. So yeah, the irony of that was not lost on them, because I brought it up to them, and you know, they kind of made jokes about it and said, well, we got to drum up business somehow. You know, the guy actually said that, my psychiatric nurse that I go see. Anyways, yeah, so it's a very complicated backstory. That's why I didn't even want to get into the backstory part of it. You know, it's very complicated, but it's a freaking nightmare, man. Just having scumbags come, this is just a big house that's been sectioned off into 4 apartments buildings. Only 3 of them are occupied. The other dude's in a wheelchair on the first floor with me. And then you got the squatters upstairs that are just, they just have anybody come here. There's people, always new faces coming here. They're just street people. And I don't know if you've ever delved into the street life, or I did for a little while. I mean, just like seeing what it was about, it's just like, it's a whole like subculture that's like out all freaking night. I remember hopping into a car with this dude once, and just like saying, well, let's just see what happens. When I was young and adventurous, and I ended up in a car. I remember I had shorts on, and there was some black girl that was running her hand up my leg, and going for the goods, because she figured that I was the only guy in the car that had money. She figured right, but yeah, I was like, what? That was the point where I was like, I don't even know this chick's name. Like, what the hell am I doing here? You know. So, but yeah, I was like, well, this is what this is about. This is just like some kind of like a all-night adventure where anything can happen, and you just run into different people, and your stranger is suddenly some stranger is suddenly your buddy, and you're hanging around with them, and it's this kind of situation they got up there. Is like, I saw 2 large African American gentlemen arguing on the porch, and I got like windows that go out on the porch, 3 of them. And I'm like, I never saw either one of these motherfuckers before in my life, and they're having a full-blown argument on my porch. I'm like, who are these people, And then the other night, this is 2 nights ago, I just go out to my refrigerator at 12:23 a.m. just because I can't sleep, and somebody's knocking on the front door. Because there's a front door that you go into, and then there's a foyer, like a hallway type thing. And then there's the doors to the apartments, then there's the steps upstairs. So these people are knocking on the front door. And I'm like, everybody should know by now that we're not allowed to lock the front door, because the squatters have rights, and they don't have a key to the front door, and the police told me I can't lock them out. They're like, you can't lock them out, don't do that no more. And I said, yes, officer. So that's also kind of funny, because me and the guy in the wheelchair, we actually tabulated and figured it out. We paid $72,000 worth of rent to live here. The squatter person upstairs, not one thin dime, and we're not allowed to lock our own front door. That's the law for you. So anyways, I already told a story about how I got this really scary cop to threaten them. And he did a really good job, because they're quiet, but there's just scumbags around all the time. I mean, they've been a little bit noisier lately. I've been hearing some voices and stuff. It's almost like you don't even hear their voices. And the cop told him, like, I heard him say it. I could hear him all the way from downstairs, because he told me, you sit tight, I'm going to go talk to these people. And he went upstairs and he said, you don't talk to that guy. You don't have anything to do with that guy. Because if I hear one word from him, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to be all over you. This is a scary dude, so he scared him pretty good. I couldn't scare him with the machete, but he scared him. So, yeah, my anxiety level is like at about a 12. Just the situation here is basically violence between me and the apartment upstairs could jump off at any time. And I've just been like avoiding people. And I realized that I hadn't left the house for like a week, just because I was just kind of like, well, I don't want to run into those people. I don't really have nothing to do. And I'm stocked up on food. I'm like, I'm just going to wait it out and see what happens. And then I realized I started to get squirrely, and I was like, I made a point of getting out of the house the last couple of days. But, and yeah. My landlord through this, like, I've always given him the benefit of the doubt and stuff, but I'm coming to the realization that he doesn't care. He just is a really good actor. Like, he doesn't care, I had to push him into evicting people he didn't even know the names of, that were known drug addicts and criminals, because he was getting paid. The government was paying for that apartment, and, he just didn't want to mess with the whole situation. So I made big enough fuss that I got him to start the eviction process. And here's another sidebar for you, is like, I have this other friend that was a cop for 30 years that rented places and still does. And he had a disagreement with somebody where he was like, telling him like, I'm going to have to evict you. And the guy was going off and getting in his face and stuff. And my cop friend was like, look, we can spend a month and a half hating each other through this eviction process if you want to wait it out, or I can give you the money that it's going to cost me to evict you anyway right now, and you give me the keys and we'll make a trade and we'll part ways and both be better for it. And the guy was so angry at the time, just being a jerk, that he was still yelling in my 6'5" cop friend's face. And he come back the next day though and said, is that deal still good? So he got him out of here quick. So I tell that idea to my landlord. My landlord says he wants to be covered legally, and then I went back and I told that to my cop friend, and he was like, how in the hell is that illegal to give someone money? He didn't understand it at all, and the landlord was like, well, just because he's a cop doesn't mean, cops do illegal things. And I'm like, you don't know this guy. This guy doesn't even swear. He is the definition of straight-laced, by the book, And so I said, man, you can take $200 out of my pocket. It don't even have to be out of your pocket. It's going to take $200 to evict these people anyway. So you can take $200 out of my pocket and give it to them. Just don't let them know it's from me. And the guy goes ahead and files the eviction papers anyway and starts the eviction process, and then says, we can always bribe them out later. We meaning me. And I'm like, you don't understand the whole concept of that, man. The whole concept of that is to save you money. And I'm like, I don't understand you. That's what I said to him. And he says the same thing you just told me, except for slower. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not what I meant. I mean, I don't understand the way your freaking brain works, because he didn't even try that. He just couldn't. He told me he was going to try it on the phone on a Sunday night. And then Monday morning, I was talking to him. I was like, did you get a hold of her? And he's like, no. And I'm like, she's not answering her phone. And I'm like, well, why don't you give it a day or two and, see if you can get a hold of her. He's like, no, I'm filing the eviction papers today. And I just throw up my hands because, he's not living here. So he's not going through this nonsense with me. So I've come to the realization that nice guy or not nice guy, he doesn't care. And I just texted in this morning because the court eviction papers were signed by a judge on Wednesday, and I talked to him on Wednesday, and he told me that I wanted to know when the bailiff was coming, because I wanted to have a date to look forward to where this horror would be over. And he said, well, I should know the date by Friday, because by Friday I've hired the bailiff. And of course I called him today, which is not Friday but Saturday, and he tells me he's going to do it Monday. So he doesn't care, no matter how nice he seems or whatever. And then I think back all the everything, anytime that I have to look out for my welfare and have problems with people in here, it's like I gotta push him to do anything about it. He let crack dealers live here, and I kept telling him about crack deals I was seeing and how they were smoking crack on the porch and at like 2 a.m. and and that didn't go on. That wasn't nothing like this, because I wasn't stressed out back then. I could handle more stress. So it wasn't that bad of an experience as this to me, but it was still pretty crazy to, I'd have the windows open that were on the porch some nights, and I'd come out and get hit in the face with crack in Newports, man. Literally come out of my bedroom and I'd have a fan in the window that was blowing air, supposedly blowing the cool air in the summertime. And I'd get hit in the face with crack in Newports, and I was like, man, I got to get out of this cloud of crack in Newports before I get some kind of contact buzz. I don't know if that's possible with crack, but I know what it smells like. But anyways, he didn't do nothing through that, so I'm just, I just realized I'm a gullible idiot, because, I've been giving this guy the benefit of the doubt for like years with all these trouble inmates. The inmates that he's had that he's let rent in this asylum. And, yeah, I'm just figuring out that he's just like, he doesn't really care. He might even tell himself that he cares, but he doesn't really care. He didn't even do what he said he was going to do and hire the bailiff yesterday. I got to wait more extra days through this and hide from these people more, just so I don't do anything stupid. And, you know, there's always a possibility I can get beat up too. And they brought a pit bull in here last Wednesday. Actually, it was the night before it was Tuesday night. They brought it like a, I don't know, good sized pit bull, like 60 pounds in here, white. And I'm like, yeah, great. I really do hope they trash that apartment up there and punish my landlord for making me go through this. But yeah, this has been going on for 3 months, man. It's, you know, I'm more than half crazy, and my stress level is crazy. Now, that's 15 minutes, but that's a lot of stuff. You know, there's a lot. This has been a big drama playing out here. You know, uh, I just been trying to wait it out. You know, because I got the cop to threaten them, and I got like to where I feel a little bit safer and I can sleep at night if they don't wake me up. You know, just by walking around and moving around. But I got to where I can sleep at night. I'm not staying up all night. And so I was like, well, you know, instead of me being as aggressive about it, like with the machete and getting in their face and calling the police on them 3 times and all this stuff, like, why don't I just let it play out now? Because I don't think they don't really want to fuck with me, and I don't want to fuck with them. And so, you know, I don't want to escalate anything. I gotta tell you another thing that I was going to do, which I really didn't want to do. But they make this product called liquid ass. I guess it's a novelty, but somebody told me about it, and it smells like rotten garbage and shit. And apparently it doesn't go away for like a long time. So I was like, man, you know, if I can't get them out of here, it sprays a stream, and it comes in a bottle about yay big. I don't know if that's enough of it, or maybe I should have bought 2 bottles. But it sprays a stream. I can just squirt it underneath their door when they're not home, and make the place uninhabitable. But that would be escalating things, and they would know that I did it, or I had something to do with it, because the other guy's in a wheelchair. So it's either me or the guy in the wheelchair, and there's steps. You know, you know who the suspect's going to be. So that would escalate things, and I didn't really want to go there, because these people are not particularly well balanced, and drug users, and you know, I'm just trying to think of what to do. But I did have the liquid ass there that one day. I'm sorry, I got something in my teeth. I'm so rude. Didn't shave. I got horrible lighting. Grumpy old yellow tooth bastard talking about liquid ass. That's just what you need in your life, right? So anyways, I got this bottle of liquid ass, and I never even took it out of the package that it came in. But they stole my mail one day, and I know it was them. Um, well, and if you don't want to take my word for it or think that I'm being paranoid, I know it was them, because I know when the mail got delivered, and I looked out on my porch and I saw it in the mailbox, and I was like, you can't see that from the road. So, you know, there's no hurry for me to get it. And then I forgot about it and left it there overnight. And at 6 in the morning, I remembered it, and I went out there, and it was gone. And it was a small package, but it was like a $7 tube of glue. You know, so I wasn't in any hurry to, you know, it just irritated me, but it made me mad that they stole off of me, and that was after the cop threatened them. But that was kind of like some kind of lame retaliation, or maybe greed, or I don't know, maybe they thought they're going to get lucky. Or maybe they did get lucky, and they can sniff the glue. They like that kind of thing. So anyways, I was mad, and I saw 2 bicycles in the hallway, and as I've established, the other guy, he don't run on those kind of wheels. So I'm like, man, fuck it, I got that liquid ass stuff. This is a 50-year-old man doing this. So I creep out in the hallway, and I take it, and I didn't know how much of it to put. I just take it out of the package. I smell it. I was like, whoa, that is nasty. And I just sprayed it on their bicycle seats. I don't even know who stole what, but I felt like doing something like in retaliation for getting my mail stolen. And then I felt, you know, my heart was beating all fast, and I felt like a freaking 12-year-old. I told somebody about that, and I was like, yeah, I am a child. I was like, yeah, I did that. That was ridiculous, and accomplished nothing. Uh, but it's a difficult situation when you're dealing with like imbalanced people. Well, it's clearly imbalanced people, because you walked up on me with a machete, and was like tempting me to kill her. And you know, drug users and stuff. It's like, so I didn't want to go the liquid ass route, and like, because they know that I did that, you know. And um, yeah, it's not that I'm a chicken or anything like that. I'm just trying to get out of this the best way possible to put them people in my rear view mirror and not have to think about them ever again. So if I do something and escalate things and we have more back and forth interaction, that's going to tie me more closely to them, and there's more chance of them, like, you know, waiting for me to take out the garbage because they know what day the garbage comes. They know who takes it out. One morning, hiding around the building one morning, waiting for me to take the garbage out with a hockey stick or some damn thing. So, anyways, now as far as how this has affected my health, is it's pretty well thrown it in the dumper. And my appraisal or Xanax use, I was doing really well with that up until July. Even though the problem started in June, I held tough through June, and then July started to slip. So um, in June, I was spacing it out like a quarter milligram every 30 to 50 hours. So, you know, I was doing really good. And I was experiencing some withdrawal, but it would take me like I would never experience any withdrawal until at least the 24-hour mark. Oh, there's the phone. I apologize. I always forget. Now the phone's in the room with me. Well, I guess you can wait out. I don't even know where it's at. Oh, it's in my pocket. Oh, that was only 2 rings. It was a nuisance call. Anyway, sorry about that. I don't know what the hell I was saying now. But, oh yeah, as far as my appraisal on usage, I was doing 30 to 50 hours in June, uh, spacing it out, and had a good stockpile built up and everything. And then July, the bottom kind of fell out, and I was like, I had to slip some because I didn't, well, I didn't really try to get any volume to help me with the taper. So I didn't have any volume to help me, and then I got this super high stress, insane situation involving liquid acid machetes and going on here. So you know, right now what I'm doing is between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, I take a quarter milligram, and then I take a quarter milligram to sleep. So the spacing on that would be like 16 to 20 hours, and then you know, like 6 hours. So I'd say like last night I took a quarter milligram at 4 p.m. and then I took a quarter milligram at oh, I think 11. Yeah, that sounds right, 11. And yeah, that's, I can actually I feel sicker. I don't know if it's the stress or whatever, but I woke up feeling sick today. I wake up, I was like, yeah, I remember what this was like, you know. And I feel some of the withdrawal symptoms, like in I never would feel anything in June until like somewhere between 24 and 30 hours I would start to feel some withdrawal. And now I feel withdrawal like pretty much like where I was, I don't know when, but start to feel withdrawal about 18 hours. Well, sometimes sooner than that, like 16 hours. 15 hours, yeah, I would say 15 to 20 hours I start to feel withdrawal, like not really horrible withdrawal, but just a overall sense of wrongness and unease. And it's kind of hard to describe withdrawal, to those particular withdrawal symptoms, to people that haven't been through it. So yeah, that's my update pretty much. I don't know if I got anything else to talk about. I don't know if I tried to talk like really fast and jam everything in there instead of like at a leisurely pace, because your time is valuable, believe it. Uh, did I miss anything, or do I want to talk about anything? I don't know. Oh yeah, there was one other option that I had, but oddly enough, I could. I was gonna. Nobody would like let me borrow a gun, because I was like, I want a gun in here. I don't want to threaten nobody with a gun or draw nobody with a gun, but you know, like Like, I got people threatening me and stuff, like, and yeah. So I wanted a gun, but nobody would let me borrow one, and I don't keep one in the house, generally speaking, because I usually don't have whacked out meth nutbags threatening me. So I usually don't feel the need for that. I've led a very peaceful life. I don't accumulate enemies. And as I said in another video, I will definitely let people step on me just to avoid antipathy or bad feelings floating around. It's like, okay, whatever. I just kind of like blow stuff off, you know. But I get to the point where, you know, like I said, I just think it's a cute line. It's like, I'll let you wipe, I'll let you step on me, but I won't let you wipe your feet on me. And this situation here is just, the powerlessness, you know. It's like I can't really do anything without breaking the law. I mean, even the liquid ass thing is breaking the law. I have a friend who's a cop, and I actually talked to him about it, and I'm like, he was not against me doing that, by the way. You know, 'cause he understood the desperateness of the situation and the way the law is protecting criminals. He didn't like that very much either. So he said, if you're going to do that, he said it's called criminal mischief, and it carries a maximum of 30 days in jail, but they would just make you pay a fine. I forget how much he said the fine was for. He said, but just make sure you don't get caught, and throw the bottle away, and no fingerprints. You'll be fine. So he didn't tell me that I could go ahead and do it, but he didn't tell me not to either. So yeah, that's called criminal mischief, and he said that's one of like the lightest offenses. Uh, it might even be the lightest offense. And I'm like, well, to me that's pretty serious. Somebody spraying some kind of foul chemical, stinking crap in your house. You know, that's a little bit more than mischief to me. But and of course, the people in my life have not been very supportive, but they're just not good at it. But yeah, like uh, one of my main people was offended by the fact that he was worried about me damaging the property. He said, that'll never come out of the wood. And I'm like, who cares? It's the landlord's fault those people are here in the first place. He can replace the wood. And I talked to somebody else, and they were like, what are these people actually doing to you? And I was like, you mean besides threatening my life? And she's like, what have they actually done to you? And I'm like, well, it's just a bunch of scumbags coming around at all hours, making noise, you know. So you know how, like, I think it's something among women and girlfriends. Like, if a girlfriend starts talking bad about a dude, you know, you always got to take the girlfriend's side. One girl's got to take the other girl's side. You can't be like, well, you know, maybe it's you. But on this situation, people are more like looking at me and my behavior. They're not like doing the what do you call it, blanket support thing. Like, oh, that's terrible. And it's like, yeah, that's the support system I got. That's why I'm on here blathering on to you folks. And yeah, I don't. My support system is a little leaky, to say the least. That's a leaky rowboat. But anyways, um, yeah, I think that pretty well covers it. I mean, I didn't let myself backslide too bad, but you know how these things work, or many of you probably know how these things work. That all that ground that I gained, I lost, and now I got to go through that all again. I got to experience more withdrawal, and you know, I can't say it's going to be any easier than it was last time, just because I've got experience doing it. But I have enough of my senses left that I know that I can't backslide any more than I already have, because you know, that was hellish what I was going through in March and April. And it's just a shame, you know. Just the universe just likes to mess with me and amuses itself by throwing these obstacles in my way, I think. But man, I'm trying to get over chemical dependence on one of the most uh, potentially addictive substances in the world. And a meth house opens across the street while I'm doing it, and they start selling meth out of the building I'm living in, and I'm confronting criminals with machetes while I'm trying to accomplish a successful Xanax withdrawal. what can you say about that? It's not something I expected. I've aged, man. I think I've aged this summer. I know I've aged really badly in the last 5 years, just because of all the horrible. It's because of living here for one thing, and all the nonsense I've had to deal with, like just unbelievable nonsense, and many other things that have been going on. But I was like, yeah, got the salt and pepper thing going on. I am 50. I never did have much up top as far as hair for a lot of years now, so it didn't really affect that. But I'm walking terrible. My nerves are shot. I was really enthusiastic about playing guitar in June, and I even bought a guitar, that fret-like guitar. I may have mentioned in another video that was wired for a right-hander when I'm a left-hander. And anyways, I was feeling pretty good in June. I understood that something crazy was going on in the building in June. There's a video of me here as late as July 7th thinking that there was heroin epidemic going on around here. I did not, until I talked to the neighbors and found out that the police raid I saw on the 6th was about meth and a meth cookhouse being in the abandoned building, like almost directly across the street. Uh, I didn't really know what was going on. There was just a lot of people coming around here that looked like they belong in a lineup. And I was like watching I didn't have to watch Law and Order on TV. I could watch it outside, man. There was cops here all the damn time in June looking for that Scott guy and asking questions. And like I said, man, my life was a Law and Order episode there for a while, because there was cops and criminals around all the time. I mean, the guy exaggerated that lives in the house next to me, but he was talking to my landlord's dad, and he's like, yeah, the police been here about every other day. I would bet 3 times a week there was cops here looking for people. At least 3 times a week. It might have been every other day for a brief stretch, but it got to the point where I would see a cop walking. I'm like, I knew he was coming here. So yeah, that was going on in June. And I just held tough in June, and I was optimistic about my taper, and I was enthusiastic about playing guitar, and um, doing some work with that, which I hadn't picked up for a while. And all that got ruined by these people upstairs. And there's really not much I could do about it that I didn't do. you know I mean, I know somebody that's ex-military. I could have got medieval, but I don't really. They weren't willing to go there. They didn't seem interested in the whole idea. And uh, I've hired mercs, man, because I wasn't scaring them. I couldn't scare them. I couldn't scare them away. I couldn't convince them to move in any kind of way. I harassed them with the police. I confronted them with a machete. I bitched to my landlord constantly about them. I mean, I did all I could. And it's just a helpless feeling when you have squatters in a tiny little building like this. It's like, your life is just taken over. You don't really have any control, and they have rights. Like I said, me and my longtime neighbor in the wheelchair, we spent $72,000 worth of rent to live here, and we're not allowed to lock our own front door on account of people that did not spend one thin dime to live here. So yeah, that in itself, just aggravating. And it's to the point where, like, I'm in the living room sitting and watching TV, and I get too aggravated just seeing scumbags coming and going. I saw, like, and you see weird shit too, where like, that's not right. Like, one day I saw somebody walk out with a tan bass guitar. Literally the next day somebody comes walking out of here with a blue bass guitar. And I'm like, yeah, one of those guitars probably stolen. Ain't nobody playing no music here. And at least one of them guitars was probably stolen. I mean, I don't know what that's about. But you'll see people leaving here with packages, and God only knows what's going on in this building. I don't even want to know. I just want it to be over with, and I want them to be gone. Alright, that's about a half an hour of me bitching and griping. I haven't done one of these. It's therapeutic for me to bitch and gripe. I don't know what it is on your end, if it's entertaining. They say car accidents can be entertaining. But yeah, I feel like this is like a train wreck, man. uh, just living here and the way things have been going with my mood and my taper, and yeah, wow. And I don't even know if they're going to be out of here, but I have a new heart. I don't know if I told you that, but my old heart doctor got murdered. I may have talked about this before, but it's actually, if you don't believe me, you can look up the guy's name. The guy's name is Dr. George Seese, Seese. He was my old cardiologist. I think I can talk about him safely because he's not with us anymore. But anyways, I will be careful in how I talk about him, but it's pretty much a dead certainty that he was, how shall I put it, spending time with another man's wife. And that man showed up in the parking lot waiting for him and shot the doctor a few times and killed him, and went back and sat in his car and killed himself. So it was a murder-suicide. That was my old cardiologist. So I have a new cardiologist who hopefully has better habits when it comes to other people's wives for his sake. And I'm supposed to see him on the 27th. That's like the first stressful thing I have to do. I don't even know if the people are going to be out of here by the 27th, but I'm going to have to start just making my appointments and stuff, because I've just been putting my life on hold, just waiting for this situation to get resolved, because my stress level is so high. Like when I go out and take out the garbage, I was trying to text my landlord and my finger was shaking too bad to text because the way my stress level is, but I can't put my life on hold anymore. And just waiting to have like a peaceful environment to live in, where I don't have to worry about criminals and violence and whatnot. So that's on the 27th. That's my next genuinely stressful thing that I have to do. An interesting story about the Dr. George Seese guy is I've been late to many appointments, as probably you have. But this is the only time the guy was late that I was going to see. So I go to see this guy, and they're like, the doctor's not here yet. He didn't get back from lunch. And I'm like, okay. And I hear him talking out there, and they're starting to freak out. And I can hear, like, out at the reception desk, like, do you have any idea where he is? Have you been able to get a hold of him? And they're, like, all freaking out, you know. So anyways, I'm just sitting there like an asshole for like a half an hour listening to these people at the desk talk about how the doctor I'm supposed to see is MIA. I'm like, I started to get mad because I didn't even want to go to that appointment in the first place, because they're like bullshit appointments. They don't do anything. They just talk to you. So, at about I would say the 40-minute mark of waiting, somebody comes in there and says, we don't know where the doctor is. He hasn't come back from lunch, but you can see our cardiac nurse if you want to. And I'm like, that'll be fine. And then they leave, and then I'm waiting another 10 or 15 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I'm walking out of here. I'm like, I am walking out of here. I don't give a damn what they say to me. I don't give a damn if I ever set foot in this place again. I'm walking out of here. And if they have the nerve to talk to me, I'm going to say, you people are a bunch of unprofessional people. I mean, I've never heard of this. A doctor an hour late for his own appointment. And anyway, so I'm all geared up, keyed up and angry to leave, and that's when the cardiac nurse came in, and of course it was a bullshit appointment. She just took my blood pressure and asked me some questions, and I was, man, I know I was physically miserable that day, and I was very angry about that. But here's the thing, this is what makes it a good story, is the guy comes back from his lunch break, and he's been on his lunch break for like 2 hours, right? He's eating. And I come home and I'm like, man, that guy must have been getting a piece of ass on his lunch break. And then later on he gets murdered for getting a piece of ass on his lunch break. I was just guessing. Because I was like, why is that guy eating? He had 2 hours to eat. And I ran into him in the hallway after I saw the cardiac nurse. And he's got a bag of Funyuns or some damn thing eating. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be crude or nothing, so I'm not going to go there. But yeah, that didn't sit right with me. I'm like, this dude had 2 hours to eat, and he's like jamming this food in his face when I go out in the hallway, walk past him. And I spoke politely to him. I was like, hello, Dr. Cease. You know, and I don't remember if I shook his nasty hand. I don't want to even go there. I don't want to be nasty. But, yeah, that was messed up. That dude had like a huge, I think I think he had like 13 kids. You can look it up if you want, but he had like, he was apparently some kind of sex addict or something like that, because the way I heard it, man, there was a lot. He was just like that. So, yeah, that's different, man. That's a different type of situation where you want to be the guy with the rubber glove on your hand to shake the doctor's hand, not the doctor. The doctor's the one usually wearing the glove. But yeah, that freaked me out when I heard about that, and then I was like, I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, a couple months ago, he was late for that appointment. I made a crack about him getting a piece of ass on his lunch break. Can't make that up, man. I don't have that good of an imagination. So anyways, that's 40 minutes of me amusing myself at your expense. And anyways, you know how I'm doing. I didn't want to really do a video until this whole situation was resolved, because I feel like it's all repeats. You know, I'd get on here and say, meth house, sliding on the taper. You know, it's like you can almost do like a 2-second video of me saying ditto from the last time. You know, nothing has changed, and it's driving me crazy. But anyways, it's good to talk. It's good to talk to y'all. So next time, bye bye.